Today's episode is brought to you by Galen Pierce Realtor, licensed in Maryland, Virginia, D.C., and Pennsylvania. Contact him at galenpierce.com. That it's GALENPIERCE.com for all of your real estate needs. Buying, selling, and investing with Galen Pierce, consider it done. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Safe Space Podcast, where we get comfortable having the uncomfortable conversations.
And talk a little mess. We are your host, Cee J.
And I'm Manda.
Welcome.
Welcome.
So we got a request from a listener to kind of go a deep dive into the work from home mom life. We talked about being work from home moms. I keep wanting to say stay at home moms, but that's not it.
It's certainly not it.
Work from home moms, episode 230-ish.
Sure, we'll go with that.
If you haven't heard it, go back and listen. But we did get a request to talk more about that dynamic for the both of us. So that's what we're here to do today.
Your wish is our command,
Yes.
listener.
So she didn't really give like details on what it was that she wanted to know. So I guess you go over kind of what your routine is, how your day goes, and then I'll do the same for mine. And hopefully that fulfills her request
Sure.
for the deep dive. And then we'll go from there.
All right. So typically, like, my work day starts at 6:30 in the morning. So thankfully, I only have to commute to my basement. So I can, if I push it, if I do everything I'm supposed to do the night before, i.e. pick out the kids' clothes and stuff like that, lay their stuff out, I can probably get up about 6:15 and be presentable enough to go downstairs
To go to your basement.
to log in. But yes, I have to log in 6:30. Thankfully, like my oldest son, he's in 5th grade, so he can get up. You know, he's typically rises with the sun anyway. And then my husband is still upstairs, so truthfully, the 5th grader, he usually gets up on his own. If not, Dad gets them up. They get dressed. We do like the little microwavable breakfasts and things like that. Dad packs lunch. Then they'll come downstairs. I step away from my desk, usually around 8:30 to walk them to school, come back, do my regular work day, get off at 3:15 and go get the kids by 3:30 and straight up mom mode from there. Typically, like, yeah, I still, like, I'll still order groceries and stuff like that during the day. So I might get a grocery delivery, and we all know how that is when you work from home. You still try to, I don't know. Well, I guess one of the biggest misconceptions is when you're working from home, you have all this free time and you can get all of this stuff done. You really can't.
Right.
Well, I don't want to dive in that too much. We'll let you go over your
My
day
routine.
first. Yes.
So it depends on the day in my house, just because my husband has a non-traditional work schedule. Again, I've talked about it previously, but he works 2 different shifts, so they alternate. So I'm going to go over routine if he was not home and I was doing it all, just so that it kind of gives perspective. So my middle child, Ryan, she's 4. She has to be at pre-K by 8 a.m. So we are up usually 6:30-ish. Because I have the baby, I do lunches, get clothes out. It's a must for me to do that at night, especially if I don't have my husband's help in the morning, because I don't need the baby neat in the bottle when I'm trying to make sandwiches. So I do all of that at night. Aubrey, who's 8, she's able to get up, brush her teeth. She does all of that herself, gets herself dressed. Ryan can, again, she's 4. She can do certain things herself. I still need to make sure that it's right. So help her out.
That part, ladies and
Generally,
gentlemen.
I'm given Mason, who is my 3-month-old, he is sleeping through the night, so he needs a bottle, obviously, when he gets up. So trying to get the kids up, because my 8-year-old and 4-year-old, they're not getting up themselves. I have to go wake them up, getting them up to brush their teeth and do all that in conjunction with feeding, depending on if Mason's awake. Getting them all together, trying to get downstairs. I would say like 7:20 is around the time I like to get downstairs so that the kids can have breakfast. And we're usually doing waffles, pancakes, microwavable pancakes, that is. Any of those quick things that they can just eat quickly before we have to get in the car. Because I do have about a 15-minute drive to Ryan's school. So I like to leave at about 7:45 at the absolute latest. And then again, depending on what work schedule and who is coming to keep Mason, I'll delve into the coming to keep Mason part a little bit more in a second. That may depend on if I need to pick my mother-in-law up or not, because she is one of the people that will come to be with Mason while I'm working. Drop Ryan off at 8 o'clock, and then I have an entire hour between Ryan needing to be dropped off in Aubrey, because Aubrey school doesn't start until 9.
All right. I didn't realize you had a whole hour.
Yeah. So generally, because I'm doing so much in the morning, I don't get a chance to like make my coffee and all that stuff.
Right.
So I'll just grab like a coffee really quick or something. And Aubrey and I will play tic-tac-toe on my phone. She'll read, she'll draw like in the car while we wait, because there's no point of me going all the way back home.
Yeah.
Especially with the baby. If he sleep, let him sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll get back home. Again, it's either my mother or my mother-in-law coming to watch the baby. If my husband is at work, get him out of his car seat, hand him right on over so I can go up and clock in.
Right.
So my morning is full from like the time I wake up to the time I get back to sit at my desk. And again, that just varies just depending on Marion, my husband. That depends on his schedule and whether or not he's home or not. So to touch on the someone coming to keep Mason. So at my job, y'all can leave it in the comments what y'all job do, or even you can tell me how your job is, because we don't work together anymore. Like with my job, we have a policy. I think it's an unwritten policy, but it's a policy that if you have a child who is not able to do for themselves, so if they need you to make them lunch, if they need help using the bathroom, anything that if they're not able to do for themselves basically the entire day, they should not be home with you while you're working, is the policy. And I get it. I have two feelings about it. Like, I get it because in my supervisor role, I get it. I see production of people who you can tell they have a kid or some type of distraction at home. So I get it. But also as a parent, I don't want to have to pay someone, not that we do, but pay somebody, or daycare is expensive to keep my small child. That's why we have my mother or my mother-in-law come to do it, depending on their schedule in conjunction with my husband's. But my sister, because she actually came to sit with Mason one of the days, and she was actually working while she did it. And she was so surprised that I could not take care of him while I was working. I'm like, no, it's not a thing for me. And she's like, well, people are on Zoom meetings with babies sitting on their laps at my job.
Oh, my Lord.
Like, oh, okay. Well,
where does she work? Can I apply?
I will not say where she works. But, I mean, she works for a hospital. I will say that.
Okay.
But she was very surprised. Even my husband was kind of like, well, you have a baby. What do they expect you to do? Kind of thing when we were having certain discussions before I went back to work. What does your job have a policy like that?
I don't think that they do, because actually I did see a coworker in one of the meetings. I believe she had a infant, or at least a crib. It was an infant, because I think she was just coming back from maternity leave not too long before. But she was actually, like, you could tell the baby was, I guess, napping at the time of the meeting. But it was kind of touched on, but not in detail. But I don't feel like she had someone there helping her with the baby.
Gotcha. Okay.
But with that being said, my job is very much productivity based. So if you're not hitting certain goals or
They're gonna
numbers,
say something.
they're going to say something. So I
Yeah.
don't think that, and I don't know, because I never even, I don't, thankfully, not thankfully, I don't know. I don't have a small enough child for me to
Have that issue. Yeah.
have that issue or ask. I will say that they are understanding with us needing to step away to either drop the kids off or pick them up. Because I have a whole team of people that are in and out every day at whatever times to pick up and drop off, whether it be kids or grandkids.
Yeah.
But like I said, my job is very much productivity based. So yeah, it's a wishy-washy situation.
Right. So again, it's an unwritten rule at my job. It's not like in stone. It's not in stone that you cannot, excuse me, all. It's not in stone that you are not supposed to have these children. It's like an unwritten rule. I can remember, again, being in my role, having to have conversations with certain team members of like, hey, I know you have that kid there. You have X amount of time to find daycare or what have you, or you may have to ask you to resign, kind of that conversation.
But to play devil's advocate, I can kind of understand that, because now if you can have the baby there or a small child there and it not really impact your workflow or your ability to do what you need to do, then fine. Like it should be seamless if you have a baby
but
there.
I think that's hard when, if your job, like you're saying, your job, like my job is not production based,
right,
but like your job, if it is production based, that can be very hard to, especially depending on the age of the child.
right.
Now if you have a 2-year-old, most 2-year-olds need something all the time. They need a snack.
Yeah.
They need a snack all the time. Or they need help with the bathroom or what have you. Because it would be hard to meet a goal having the small child there.
Right. Well, which is what I'm saying. Like, I can understand why the job is requiring you to have someone there to help. Because truthfully, let's call a spade. What would we all do if we were still in a pre-COVID world and we were all going to an office? Well, you would have had someone there, or the child would have been in daycare.
I was going to say, you and I having previous conversations about looking for other jobs and things of that nature. And I was saying, it may be hard to find something else considering that I've been in this work from home space for so long. Like going back into an office, I think it may be, and again, if I had to work into an office if COVID wasn't a thing, I would have to figure it out.
Right.
And so for me, it's not the figuring it out piece. Like luckily I'm grateful enough to have family members who are able to come and help, because there is somebody out there who don't have that,
right?
Who has to
Absolutely
pay the ridiculous
man
fees for childcare.
I can't even. I remember. I mean, this was a couple of years ago, obviously, because my youngest is in 3rd grade now. But even then, when I was trying to find daycare for the both of them, as I want to say, my boys are 2 years apart. 2 years apart. No, 3 years apart. Sorry, Dylan has a late birthday. But even back then, several years ago, like daycare prices was crazy, like more than my mortgage. I'm like,
so
$2,000 a week, not even a month. Are you crazy?
So adding another layer to that. So my 4-year-old's in pre-K. So if you're familiar with Baltimore County, I don't know if it's other counties, pre-K and public schools is not full day. So I was it like 9 to 12 or some random hours.
Yeah, or nature. you could do like a morning session or afternoon session. It's weird.
So saying that to say we pay for her to go to pre-K someplace else. So paying for her to go to pre-K, which is completely our choice, and then paying for daycare on top of that, it's a no-go.
Right, because then, and unfortunately, in most cases, like daycare is just so ridiculously expensive. You would be paying you'd be working rather just to pay daycare. So it's like, what do you do?
Right. No, I agree. So when we took our quick break for a second, you were saying something interesting about the whole policy about working from home.
Right. And I think because, of course, this option for most of us to work from home came about during COVID. So I feel like a lot of jobs are kind of making up policies on the fly or kind of as you go. And, you know, things that they didn't think would be an issue before are now having to be addressed. So I feel like, you know, like with your employment having the policy in place, I kind of feel like it may be that whole one bad apple spoils the bunch. So I believe that there was an issue there with someone or people taking advantage of the situation. And now you have to have this because the whole idea of it is you want it to be seamless. Right. Like if you had that young child at home or that baby at home, but you still handled your business the way that you were supposed to, it wouldn't have been an issue. Right. They would have never been none the wiser. Right. So, you know, I feel like, unfortunately, sometimes you have to implement these policies
and because it hurts some people.
It hurts some people that do what they're supposed to do regardless of the situation.
Because it would be so unfortunate to lose a good employee because the choice is pay for childcare, work, pay for childcare, work. And if you're in a 2-parent household where one parent's income can supply and pay for all the things that you need within that house, we don't really need your income if it's all going to go to childcare. Then I might as well stay home. Right. So speaking of school, last episode we talked about schools and all of that. I was watching this TikTok and this lady was in her drive-up line or pickup line at schools, and she was fussing because she worked from home.
I saw that,
but her child got out at some odd 2:45 hour, and she was complaining that like I work 9 to 5 or whatever. My child gets out at 3:00. My child's school doesn't offer aftercare, or if they do, I gotta pay. You gotta pay for it. Yeah. Does your child's school offer aftercare or?
Yes.
Well, not that you need it, but do they offer?
Well, I mean, good point though, because even before, when Dylan first started elementary school, well, of course, you know, with preschools and stuff, we paid the tuition for him to go to preschool and all of that. But there was a time like when I had to go in the office, I was still on the early shift and I did it so that I could get out in time to get him from school. Yeah. And then at the time, Galen was still commuting to work. So we had to pay that money for him to go to before care. So we dropped him off at before care. I went to work. I got off 15 minutes before he got out of school. So my day, like I was tearing out the door because I had 15 minutes to get from my job. Thankfully, I worked close.
Very close, yeah.
Yeah, but I had 15 minutes to get from work to his school to get him out in time.
Yeah, don't be asking me no questions.
Right, don't ask me nothing. I got to go.
Yeah.
So, but and oddly enough, although I'm working from home, it's still kind of the same thing. I still get off 3:15. They get out of school at 3:30.
Yeah.
And we walk up to get them, you know, meet them, and then they.
Yeah. So Aubrey's school was my 8-year-old. You guys will get it eventually. I won't have to keep referring to what child she is. My oldest, Aubrey, her school does not offer before and after care.
Oh, they don't at all?
They do not.
Oh, okay.
Not through the school. So they do offer it, but it's like a third party.
Well, yeah, it was the same thing at their school. So it's a third party, but it's there at the school.
Right. But at one point, schools like themselves offered like a before.
Yes.
So
I think ours, it used to be called Playkeepers. I think I remember when I was in school.
I don't remember. But neither here nor there. Like Aubrey school does not offer in-house, like through the school before and after. It's through a third party. My husband went to inquire. I don't even know why he was inquiring about it, but he went to go inquire, and the numbers for that before and after care were crazy.
It was not cheap. I remember it was not cheap.
And like Ryan,
and they wanted that automatic withdrawal. I would think, was it weekly? I think you could either do weekly or monthly, something like that. But it was not cheap.
Ryan's school offers free before care, and they serve breakfast, but she doesn't utilize it because I don't need to. But you have to pay for the aftercare portion. So, but again, I don't do the aftercare because I just leave and go pick her up.
So but you would pay your regular tuition for her to be there, but then you had to pay an additional fee for the aftercare too?
Yep, wow. There's an additional fee for aftercare.
Wow.
So, It's big
It's always,
business.
it's a hustle. If you can
It's big
stand it, it's a
But I mean, if you think
hustle.
about it, as a parent who has a child that's in pre-K, you don't want to technically send them to a daycare because you're not getting what you get from pre-K.
Mm-hmm.
But if your county does not offer full-day pre-K, like, what am I going to do? I hate to sound ungrateful, but like, what are you going to do with 3 hours of childcare when you have to work? Like, what do you do with the rest of that time?
Right.
So it's deal with that and then find a solution for the rest of the day that you may end up having to pay for, or pay for school completely.
Right.
And choose whether or not you need the aftercare or not. And again, we don't need it at this point in time, and school will be over in a couple months. So
Thank goodness.
yes.
But I kind of touched on it before a little bit. I think a lot of people that still go out or commute to work have a conception that, or I think is a misconception, that people that work from home have all this leisure time and it's easy breezy. And, you know, while I'm grateful for it, and it is a huge benefit to be able to work from home, I guess, there are still some downsides to it. You know, like going out to the office or going out to work, you have that kind of break or decompression between your work day and your
that's
coming
kind of what
home,
we were saying in the other episode.
and and starting your mommy wife run this household time. There is no breaks in your day when you're working from home. Like, I legit have 15 minutes to get off from work, go get my kids, and then it's full on mommy duty, and I got to figure out, we got to do homework, we got to figure out dinner, they have after school activities. You know, it's still, you know, your everyday mommy wife duty. And while, yes, I can try to order my groceries and stuff like that while I'm home, and I can get them delivered during the day sometimes, but I can't, like I said, I have a productivity based job. And let me tell you, Big Brother be watching when you working from home. You, like, for me, if I step away from my computer more than 5 minutes, because I also, like, it uses the VPN for my phone to be able to log into the work system. So if I step away from my terminal any longer than 5 minutes and my phone's not near it, it turns blue. It has a little eyeball jumping around. It's looking for me. So I even sometimes have to, like, we have a group chat from my work team. Like, some people actually, I don't put it in there because I think that's overkill, but some people have to put in there, they're going to the bathroom. Like, it's, and I guess depending on who your manager is, who your team lead is, like, some people are extra when they don't need to be. So, and it's like they're, you know, sometimes you feel like they are counting your keystrokes, your every move is watched. So sometimes, to me, it's feels like stressful. It could be more stressful.
I was gonna say, like, if I had a more simple schedule as far as like the kids and like my husband's work schedule, I think I would prefer to go into an office and work, just because working, like, not only is the working from home, like, you don't get that break in between, like, you don't know when to stop and start, like, it's
and that part too, because sometimes, like, I get off at 3:15. There have been days where I look up and it's 4:30 and I'm still sitting there working.
Well, I was gonna say, for me, you have instances where, all right, my hours are technically 9 to 5. I'm salary, so okay, I guess maybe once in a while I can stay on a little longer if you need me. But, like, don't think that because I work from home, and I've heard, not, it wasn't said to me directly, but just in general, like, oh, well, you work from home, so if I call you, you should just be, like, available. And it's like, well, no,
that's disrespectful,
actually,
right? And
again, it was not said to me. This conversation was relayed to me from the person that it was said to, but it's like, well, no, this isn't, I'm not on call.
Right.
That's not how this works. Like, don't call me with the expectation that you need something, so I'm supposed to just be able to, oh, hold on, let me go log back into my computer. Right. No, I have things to do outside of work.
And I think that's the place of employment, the management.
Yeah.
They just are disrespectful in general.
This is true.
So, but unfortunately, there are some work environments that are like that. They're just disrespectful.
Yeah.
They don't respect your off time, your personal time, your family time, or that you have a life outside of this job.
Right.
So, but there's pluses and minuses to everything, I think.
Yeah.
I certainly think that I work harder working from home
Yeah.
than
Absolutely.
when I was in an office environment. Because look, we all know when you used to go into the office, like you might clock in at 7:30, but it wasn't no work being done before 8:30, 9 o'clock. Because you clock in, then you go get your breakfast, then you got to do your morning greeting to everybody, have your social eye,
Yes.
and then you 9:30 you clock. You
We are
start
gonna
doing
have
some
to
work.
get on here and discuss like our in-office shenanigans one of these days. Again, if you are this is your first time listening to this podcast, I suggest you go back to episode 1 when we discussed that we worked together previously. But yes, we're gonna have to do an episode surrounding our work shenanigans.
And make sure the statute of limitations has expired. No, it's like it wasn't that bad. It wasn't nothing like that. But yeah, you work for a couple hours in the morning, then about 10:30, 11 o'clock you gotta stop and figure out what everybody having for lunch.
Quick story time. Very quick. So again, Amanda and I worked together at periods of time. We would work in the same department. So like when I first got there, we worked in the same department. She decided that she was better than us and moved on to another department.
Never.
I ended up going to that department as well that she worked in, and then moving to a different department after that. I would call Amanda's extension and at like 9 a.m. Like, all right, so what are we having for lunch today at 9 o'clock? And we had this one place that we would order from, and I would get shrimp and string beans. We would get shrimp and string beans, and the owner of said restaurant, him and Amanda were very close.
No, we were not. Let me tell you how she would harass me every day and use her belly vote because she was pregnant at the time and want them daggone shrimp and string beans every day, but then refused to call it in. So I was forced to call it in every day.
I don't like calling in food to this day.
I don't either.
Yeah.
In a relationship, it should be 50-50. And I feel like it was really one-sided here. And my producer man husband is off to the side. Blame her husband for you having to always call food in at home because I always had to call food in at work. So now.
Sure.
But yes, me and Mr. Chen was on first name basis.
Please do not do the accent.
I'm not. I was stopping there because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to be accused of appropriation. He was my homeboy, and he would get worried if we skipped a day or a couple days.
Yes, it wasn't an everyday. I think once a week we would have shrimp and string.
It was absolutely more than once a week.
Okay.
All I would say was hello, and I think matter of fact, I think they had caller ID,
Yep.
and he would answer the phone, Amanda.
And you did it anyway.
This is how he said my name.
And you did it anyways.
That's how he said my name. But anyway, I mean, that's how it was. All I had to do was call, and there we have it.
Okay. Well. But yes, if you all want to hear more stories of Cee J and Manda work chronicles
and how she would bully me at work.
Okay. Let us know if you want to hear more chronicles of work from Cee J and Manda.
Anyway, so yes, I feel like there are highs and lows to everything, like anything. And that good old saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. And, people that still go out feel like people that work from home have it made.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are days, those of us that work from home kind of pine for
That outing. Yeah.
that outing,
Mhm.
that adult conversation,
Yeah.
that camaraderie.
But I think there's different levels to working from home. Like working from home as like an adult that doesn't have any children or all children are out of the house is different from working from home as a person who has children, who has to like pick kids up and do
Right.
it. Like I think it's different all around depending on your situation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, please stop with the, oh, you work from home, you must be
Yes.
cooking your dinner all day.
Right.
It's not the case.
It is
It's
not the case. Like a lot of times I don't even see the upstairs of my house until
Right.
the day is dang near done. Like
right.
I don't. And like I don't even turn the TVs on during the day. Like it's not me sitting back watching TV and all of that. Like no, I am working
hard.
But there are some people that do get to work from home and chillax and
I feel like the people can see you eyeing the other side of the room.
what?
Well,
moving on.
my husband doesn't know anything about that because he works outside of the house. So,
or certain people have an idea that while we're working from home, we're just on the phone with each other all day.
lies.
We work hard. All of the shaking of the heads in the background. My Lord. We need a camera facing the other way.
Our audience is being shady.
I don't appreciate it. Even our kids. Who is that on the phone? Miss Amanda? Tell Miss Sierra hi.
I don't appreciate the judgment. I don't appreciate the judgment.
Sad affairs. Anyway, do we have something else? Did you have anything else you wanted to add on that?
Now on the work from home topic, I hope this, for the listener who asked for that or had this request, I hope that answered your questions.
Mm-hmm.
If it did not, please let me know. Or if you guys have anything that you want to hear us talk about, any content you want from us, let us know and we can cover it.
Your
Here
wish
at Safe
is
Space.
our command, except for feet pics.
Oh my gosh.
That is a thing. People are making money.
It shouldn't be a thing, though.
But it is. I don't make the rules. I just follow them within reason.
Oh, so you're giving feet pics.
I mean, if the price is right, I will get a pedicure and flick it on up.
Okay. Got it. I will not. So when you send the DMs requesting this random stuff, make sure you address it to Manda, not to me.
Okay. We'll see about that.
All right.
So, did you have something else?
I don't think so. Do you have anything else?
I don't know. I don't think so. It's so weird. I usually have and it's like the mics will go off and I'm like, oh man, let me tell you this. Did we, I thought I had a random question. Let's see. No, it's not here. I thought I did. But yes, we do want to put it out there that if you guys, I think you said it before, if you have questions or topics or anything. Yes,
we want to do like a mailbag episode.
Yes.
We answer all of your questions, get our opinions on things. So if you have any questions, send them our way.
The more random, the better. It doesn't have to be any rhyme or reason to it. Whatever your little heart's desire.
Okay.
That would be hilarious. Especially for CJ. Because as y'all can tell,
Are you looking for me to be uncomfortable?
I am. This is the safe space. You have to get comfortable having the uncomfortable conversations.
Are you using the tagline on me?
Hey. You have to be about it if you're going to talk about it, right?
I think we have a question. We got a question. Let's see.
Do we?
Yes.
This is like the Ricky Smiley show, you know, when he is like, I think we have a letter from a reader, and then like opening up the mail all.
So, in conjunction with what we just did on today's episode, if you all want to send in like your different life situations that you have going on as far as like working from home, working in the office, your kids, your husbands, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, whomever. Send it in and we can give you feedback on like your situations. You can ask a question about your situation or how we do things, to kind of get some listener engagement here.
I like how you're saying feedback instead of advice.
Because nobody giving random advice. Like no one wants it.
This isn't a what's the column X whatever. You know how.
Ask Cee J and Manda? No. This is
don't ask me because I don't want to mess around and be like, I done left my husband because CJ said so.
Me?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna say you.
Nope. Not a thing. Well, I think that's all we got for you good folks today. Unless you have anything else. No? Before I close out?
No. If you want to send us some cash apps, it's like, no.
Oh my gosh. Production.
You have not if you ask not. I'm just saying.
Get her. See you guys back here each and every Monday. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. All right. Bye.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by M. James Photography, located in the DMV area, offering photography services for weddings, studio portraits, major parties, and events. Contact Marian on Instagram at M. James Photography. That's M_James Photography for all of your photography needs.